Hi, I'm Brooke. Welcome to my channel. Today, I'm so excited to share something different with you. I had a chat with a guy named David. Him and I are both in Darius J. Wright's AIDA method. So I connected with him there. He has an incredible story, and he is incorporating all the things that he has received into his life. He had a few OBEs and NDEs. And so I'm going to put a link. So he spoke to Darius on Darius's YouTube and he went into detail about those experiences. There's two videos, they're from about a year ago. So I'm going to put a link to those because in today's interview, I focus less on that and more on like how he is living this amazing life ever since. And so, A, definitely watch those videos. B, you are going to get so much out of this chat that I had with him. I have to go back and listen because there was so much he said that I wanted to write down, but I wanted to be engaged with the conversation. He's basically in like a state of ecstasy. He's like in this love state all the time. If you watch some of my videos, you know that I have been in that state, but it goes away after a couple of days and he's kept it up. It's just like who he is now. So amazing. He had severe health issues that are now pretty much gone. He just actually, when we got on the phone, he just came from the doctor, and the doctor, like so many things, the doctor's like, I don't even know how this is happening. He looks 10 years younger than he did last year. If you go watch the videos from him and Darius a year ago and then watch this today, he was like, so you could just see he's like so bright and happy. And as soon as he came on the screen, I was like, oh my God, you look just so like the vitality is amazing. And he doesn't really sleep anymore and he's getting healthier and has more energy and is like doing all this athletic stuff that he hasn't done since he was like 20. I mean, it's awesome. You're going to get so much out of this, so many good reminders too. We can do anything. We can focus in any way we want. We can heal our bodies. We can be youthful and vital, like have that vitality running through us at any time. So I hope this inspires you. I know it will. I really, really just even sit in his energy, even listen to his voice, his energy. You can feel it. And it's so inspiring and so amazing and so many good reminders. And he has so many good little tidbits. And I don't know, leave me a comment. Let me know if you enjoy it. And I'm so excited for you guys to watch this. Okay, have fun, enjoy. Hi, everyone. Welcome. So I'm here today with David Ebel, and I'm Brooke. And if you're on my channel, hopefully you know that. And I'm so excited to talk to David. We both are in Darius J. Wright's OBE AIDA method. And there was a workshop. First, I heard David share his stories on Darius's YouTube. And then there was a workshop a couple weeks ago and David spoke a little bit about this just amazing, like, bliss state that he's been in. And it really resonated with me because I've had that state, but only for a few days at a time. And then I kind of go back to normal. So, I'm fascinated with to hear about how he has maintained it. I know his health has improved tremendously. Um, just to give a little, so I'm going to link to David's chats with Darius, where he goes into details about NDEs, OBEs, and things that happened to him in that nature. And I know people that are on my channel are really interested in those things. So I will put those direct links. And then today I really want to talk to David about things that have happened to him since, like that he has really maintained this wonderful state. Because we were just chatting before we hit record. For me, like the out of body state's amazing. The few experiences that I've had are amazing. I will also put links to my stories in case you're not familiar. And but the goal, I think, me and David seem to agree that the goal is to bring that information into this physical world and have the best possible experience in the here and now. Because here we are, right? And let's let's take what we've got from over there and bring it into now. And David seems to have done an amazing job. So David, so he did have all these profound experiences, and now it's been, so how long has it been since you said you haven't had an OBE in a while.
Right. I mean that's kind of the paradox that I experienced, and I'm actually going to talk to Darius about this. Is that in the last year? So my last OBE NDE experience was in September of last year, and I haven't slept enough to really have an OBE experience since that point in time. You
Mhm.
know, I'll reach that 90-minute mark and then I'm awake. 90 minutes to 2 minutes, and my body just wakes up. And so I haven't had an OBE experience, but what has happened for me in the OBEs and NDEs that I've had is this awakening into being awake in this construct. So really awaken the construct, and as you were stating, is you know the realized state of peace that just is there all the time, a joy that nobody can touch, no matter what the world's doing or what's happening in my family or in my work or any of that. Is there's this joy that just fills me, and then this state of bliss that is ever present, and not only a state of bliss, but truly a state of ecstasy that is beyond the bliss. And in that state of ecstasy is this incredible authenticity that is beyond unconditional love. And it's just present. And I'm just so grateful. Um, and at the same time, I'm I'm awake 22 hours a day. Sometimes I'll get an hour and a half, 2 hours of sleep at night, but then I meditate whenever I'm not sleeping, and I have enough energy, more than enough energy to be I work as a physical therapist. I specialize in working with people that have been through trauma, doing on person and distance healing work for people who have had any type of trauma in their lives.
Okay.
And
Oh, sorry. I don't want to cut you off. Go ahead.
no, and so that's kind of what's happening for me. And and the question that I have in my life is, I was having all of these different incredible experiences, and now the experience that I'm having is just very simply being present in every moment that happens, and then in this state of ecstasy all the time. And I'm not having the OBE experiences. I want to, but I'm not. And I'm not sure why. And like I said, I'll be talking to Darius about that to see what his input is in that. And at the same time, I just feel like maybe this is what it's all about. Is living this unconditional love state, this state of peace, of joy, of bliss, of ecstasy, and just living it in this world. And I was talking to a friend, and I and what we were talking about is we, I just said, you know, I am source. I'm a manifestation of source in this construct, and I take on the personality of David, and I'm authentically being David. I'm not trying to be anyone else. I'm just authentically being me. And what I recognize is that to be source in this construct is to act as source in this construct, which means that everything that I am given, I give. I'm just constantly sharing and giving all the time. I'm not trying to hold on to any energy or hold on to anything. I'm not trying to be something or someone. It's just constantly this flow is flowing through me.
Mm.
And as long as this flow flows through me, I mean, like right now, I mean, as I'm talking and as I'm moving my hands, it's just like these waves of ecstasy. I don't know if you can feel them, but I just sit there and go, whoa, this is like way cool. And and last year I was life flighted twice. I was on oxygen. I had a stroke. I've had surgery, heart surgeries. I didn't think I was going to make it through the end of the year. And this year, and this is the spontaneous healing, is when I had open heart surgery, they injured my phrenic nerve, which meant that I couldn't use my left lung at all. And I just had a test, and they said, David, we don't know why or how, but not only is your phrenic nerve completely healed, but usually when you've had that kind of damage, you always have one diaphragm and one lung that is higher than the other because of the shift that occurred, but yours are equal. We don't understand that except for to say, you know, that's happened for you. And so the need for oxygen is no longer there. I was on a BiPAP, and they're looking at taking the BiPAP and not needing the BiPAP anymore. I mean, there's just so many things that are happening. I played tennis for an hour with my oldest boy on Saturday, and up until the last few weeks, I have not been able to play tennis at all for the last 20 years since I started having heart issues. And so it's just those things, and mountain biking for 7 miles on single track. I had a stroke in March of last year when I was life flighted in March. I didn't have the balance. I needed a cane to walk with. I mean, it's just this crazy healing that is going on in this 66. According to the chronology of this construct, the 66-year-old body just feels like it's 35 again, and just the energy. It's just incredible.
I mean, that is amazing. I do feel like the energy, even when you were speaking on the Darius webinar, I felt the energy from you and everything that you're saying. It's amazing. It's so exciting to me because I feel it. I've had experiences, not to the degree that you have, but I can feel it. I can feel the possibilities of it. And I love that you're living it and it's so exciting. So I have a few questions. I mean, first of all, I know that I said before we started to record, like whoever's watching this, if you go watch those videos of David a year ago, he looks like a different person. You look at least 10 years younger and just like so vibrant, and it's amazing. It's so incredible. Yeah, I mean, you're like aging in reverse.
And it truly, like I said, there are things that I'm doing that I could do 20 years ago that I have not been able to do because of all the heart issues, et cetera, et cetera. Leading up to two near death experiences last year. And I did not think that I was going to make it through. I mean, truly did not think I was going to make it through the end of the year. In fact, I was resigned to it.
Well,
And
so I'm curious. Okay, so I'm so curious about the not sleeping. So did that start right away after? So from what I recall, in your big near death, or yeah, when your NDE, when you went into you basically had like a life review,
right.
right?
Yeah.
And so you came back from that, you learned a lot of things about yourself and you were denying love for yourself. And that was like, again, I'm going to put links, whoever's watching this, you should watch the whole thing because it's really incredible. And you basically got this information of what you had been withholding from yourself. So then it seems to me, from what I can understand about all this stuff, once you release anything like that, you start to let in your own energy essentially. So it seems like your own life force energy is sort of reviving you now. You're not cutting it off anymore. And so how soon after that, it seemed like, from what I remember, you were in the bliss state like right away. And then how soon after that did you stop sleeping really? And did it freak you out? Did you start? Because like sometimes I don't sleep that much and I immediately tell myself, oh, well, this is enough sleep. I'm tired. And then I wonder, maybe it is enough, but I'm just psyching myself out. So I'm curious, like, does that weird you out or you're just like totally fine with it? How soon after you had that big NDE did this start?
Yeah.
So,
So it was soon thereafter. I mean,
and also, do you ever get tired?
No, I mean
Okay.
that's the thing is I don't get tired. I mean, so I go to bed and I listen to Darius manifestation tape, the God tape, and or I do my own. I've created my own in being source instead of saying that I am God is that I am source and I'm a manifestation of source and I am love. I mean that's just really stating all the things that are very very true for me. And so I do that, and that usually gets me to sleep within 30 minutes to 45 minutes, and then I listen to the beats, or I don't. But usually about an hour and a half later to 2 hours later, I wake up spontaneously, and then I just go in. I come into this room, into my office meditation room, and then just sit in silence with the form of meditation that I've been doing for many many years, and then when it's time for me to get up and go ready to go to work, then I get up and get ready to go to work. So that's usually about because I usually end up here somewhere between 1:30 and 2 o'clock in the morning, and then for 4 hours, then I meditate, and then I have the energy that I have now. It's yeah.
And how long, I'm sorry, I don't think you said this, like after that NDE, how long did you
It was,
stop?
it was soon thereafter. I would bet that, so that was the end of March. I would bet it was probably the end of April, the beginning of May is when I stopped really, sleeping, 5 to 8 hours. That would be my normal, would have been 5 to 8 hours. And now it's maybe an hour a night, maybe 5 to 7 hours a week of sleep, when I really look at it.
And then also you said, are you not eating as much?
And I'm not eating as much either. I used to be 3 meals a day, and now I'll eat socially. So let's say that I'm with my family. Like this weekend, I was with my older boy, and because I have 5 boys, and then my wife, and so I'll have lunch with them, but a light lunch, and then I usually just eat dinner. And so it's usually just 1 meal a day. And again, I don't really feel like I need to eat, but it's more social. Um, and um, and when I eat, I really try to stay with red meats and and fats. I do eat vegetables sometimes, but it's mostly just really the red meats.
And is that you're craving the red meats or just you've heard that that's the best? I know
Yeah,
Darius said like fruit and then sometimes meat. I mean, I just kind of eat whatever, but
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
curious.
Yeah, and mine was really following, what Darius was teaching because he to me he really operates in integrity and what he says is what his experience is. So I tried to follow that, and because I used to eat a lot of fish and chicken, poultry and fish, and then when I switched over to red meat, that's when I started having more success with the OBs. That was the end of last year, the beginning part of this year, and I started having that success. And I go, oh, okay, this is making a difference.
Okay. And so awesome, interesting. I've also had times when I've felt really satiated in my life, and I kind of just don't eat, and I don't, and I'm like, oh, like I literally will not eat. I'm not hungry. I think that it's this thing we're programmed to eat that at certain times, and you're told that you need to get this much calories or whatever it is. But there have been times, like when I got ready for my first art show. I was so excited that I couldn't wait to sit down to the computer and lay out the walls and do all this stuff. And the whole day would go by, and then I'd be like, oh, well, I guess I should eat something. And I would make a meal, but and eat like 2 bites and even forget the plate was sitting there. And I was totally healthy, happy, not hungry, not like, and there'd be other times when I wasn't feeling like that in life. And if I missed a meal, I would want to like pass out. But obviously, like after going through that time, it's like clearly you certainly don't need as much food as you think you do. And I wonder if you need any at all. Like I'm curious, the
Yeah,
evolution.
mine truly is social. If I didn't have a life partner, and if I didn't have people to have food with, because it's such a social event, I probably would choose not to eat. I really do very, very well fasting, and in having juice or water. I feel really clean when I don't eat anything for 20 to 30 days. I mean, I've
Mhm.
done 30-day fasts before in the past, and I've always felt cleaner when I don't eat. But socially, it's just so much fun.
Yeah.
Like we went to the fair this weekend, and I won't tell you all the things I ate. But I did have brisket, but I also had funnel cake and the other fun things too. It's
Yeah.
not like I eat, a pure diet or anything like that. I'm definitely will enjoy the social aspect.
I also think so. Like I think that we could do whatever we want. It's just what we believe. Like I think you could eat like a poison thing and be totally fine if you thought you were going to be fine. I mean, I'm not recommending anyone eat poison in case that's not clear. But I think that you literally could just kind of do whatever, but you have to believe it. And we don't realize how much programming there is in our current consciousness. So it's hard to break away from those ideas, or it doesn't have to be hard, but you have to really believe it, right? So I think you could probably just eat a bunch of stuff for fun just because you're a human and why not? But yeah, I'm just curious, like what your desires are now and how
I, I,
your
I
health is fair. Like your health is so good and it was so not good. And it's really just from this shift in your mental state.
correct.
Yeah.
And what I would say is that it's not just the mental. I mean, in having the experiences that I've had, which are the OBEs and the near-death experiences, and having the experience of realizing that I am unconditional love outside of this construct, and then I'm living that unconditional love through the personality of David inside the construct, and just having that realization, because it is a realization now. It's not just a mental understanding or knowledge, which I had that before. Before all this happened to me over the last couple of years, I've had inklings of it, and I've had the knowledge of it, but then having it fully realized and then living it here, that's what shifted everything.
Okay, so I'm curious about that part. So, because I feel like that's kind of where I am, where I have the knowing, and yet it's the sort of sticking to it part of it. So, like, I had what some people call a Kundalini awakening, and I didn't know what even that was. And in that experience, I had some version of like a life review. Like, I saw all the people I've ever known. I have this incredible feeling of unconditional love when I had never really thought about what that even meant before, but there was literally zero um there was no, I love you, but you're annoying. It was just love. And I saw even like my worst enemy love them too. Like everything was just love. And then when I came back from that experience, I walked around for 3 days in that ecstatic nirvana, whatever. And then well, two things I want to ask you. So first, I'll just say this part, like, so I walked around like that, and then at the end of the third day, I actually encountered a friend who was in the worst mood, like almost like just this angry. And I remember being like, uh-oh, like protective of that bliss feeling, like this person's going to take it from me. And I feel like that was the end of that for me. And of course, I can always reconnect to the memory, and I often spend many days very joyful. But that ecstatic, that that level of peace and knowing of everything's okay and that kind of feeling, it's like I have a memory of it, but there's not the visceral experience that I had. So I'm curious when you say that now, you had a sort of intellectual knowing before, and now you have this knowing that stays with you. I feel like I'm teetering on this because I've had the visceral experience, but I have yet to like, how do you keep it going? And do you ever have days where you're just like, ah, crap, right? Like, or is it really just like 100%? I'm so curious. I'm so jealous of you. I'm just so like, I'm dying to make that jump.
It's interesting for me. Yes, it is there all the time. And I have experiences that, like, 2 weeks ago, so I've had a number of experiences that have taught me that I that I need to complete what I start before I start something else.
Ah,
Particularly in the last 2 or 3 weeks. And so that, this is something that with Lisa's group, Lisa Harrison's group, that I've been sharing, is that those experiences were very emotional for me, but I did not lose the sense of bliss or ecstasy. But I did go into a very emotional state of saying, shit, I really messed up I almost ruined something that had great value for my wife and I, because I had forgotten about it and not completed what I meant to do. And so it basically almost ruined the camper that I was trying to fix, but because I had forgotten and not completed it. And that would have been huge if that had gotten totaled, because it wouldn't been replaceable. And so I got really emotional and got really down against myself, but I never lost the bliss. And so things definitely happen that I get emotional that used to get in the way of what I thought that the bliss was. And it's kind of like what you were talking about, is that through the years I've had experiences that brought me into that bliss for short periods of time. But truly, when I had that near death experience, went through my life review and just really got that, that it's not about giving and receiving love. That's not it, which is what I thought it was. I thought that's what I was here to learn, was how to give and receive love. But what that being, and now that I'm even talking about it, I'm just vibrating all over the place, is when that being just said, David, you are love. Be the love that you are. It's not about doing love. You totally be the love that you are. And ever since that moment, it's because in that state I was in unconditional love, and each OBE that I've had, I've been in that state of unconditional love. And then I go, oh, okay, and then when I came back into my body after the NDE, it's just like totally present in that ever since.
okay, this is so interesting. So that story with the camper, it's you had something that could have quote unquote threatened your state of
Right.
being loved, but you, like with me, with my friend, I let it be a threat and I let that overcome, but you were able to continue. Like it's not that you don't ever have bad experiences anymore,
Right.
it's just that you just kind of let it, like can you walk me through like when that happens and you're in the bliss state but you're still acknowledging, oh, this is something that needs to be managed.
Yeah, I'd started calling myself stupid for a day, because it was really stupid. What I thought, it was really stupid of me to have forgotten and left the water running, basically, and flooded out the camper. And 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 so I just kept on calling myself stupid, and I just sat there and I go, after doing that for about 10 hours, I sit there and go, David, you're actually really intelligent. And this was a stupid thing to do, but you're actually really intelligent. And then it was like, I used the word untether, so because I had reading Untethered Soul, 25 years ago when it came out,
Mm.
and that having an impact on me. So I just sat there and go, just untether yourself from this. This is this is silly. And then in untethering myself from it, again, that state of bliss never left me. And I was caught up in this loop, in this tethered loop with the belief system, that who knows how long, how many lifetimes ago that belief system started. And then it was just like, you know, I got stuck, and I got stuck in that loop, and just, all I had to do is just say, untether yourself. This,
And when you're sitting there saying, I'm stupid, but that must feel bad, no? That didn't really, you still,
it was playing itself over and over again, and it was like, it's like, you're sitting in front of something that just keeps on hitting you like this, over and over again throughout the day, and then finally you realize that you can get out of the way of it.
yeah.
You don't have to keep on getting hit by it all the time, or punch, punch, punch. The self deprivation, or deprecation, or whatever it's called. And you're
Deprecation.
just hitting, you're just hitting yourself over and over again. I go, I can stop hitting myself. That's more what it was. But again, the joy, that was always underlying all of it. This kind of hit the surface, but that joy was just always underlying, and then that just that state of, and it was, and it was, I mean, if anything, it taught me that this is my true state. And and what I knew in the out of body and near death experiences is that, unconditional love is my true state of being. There isn't any of us, there's not one of us, no matter what we've done, what we've experienced, what we've forgotten ourselves to be, and what we've created in this world, there's not one single one soul that's present in this construct that is other than unconditional love. I mean,
Yeah.
I've
I
witnessed
mean,
all
I
that.
was in that experience. I remember like first I saw people that, oh, my family, I know I love them. But even the way I love them was nothing like I felt in like before. Like it was just so unconditional. But then I started to see all these people that I really don't like, right? But then I was like, and we'd be like, remember when we pretended not to like each other? Oh my God, that was so funny. And it was like I felt that same bliss towards this people that I know that I had a big fight with, that I know I don't quote unquote like. But when I had that, I was like, what? How could that be? I was still trying to like figure it out. And it's so funny. I always think about that. If I get mad at someone, I'm like, no, that's not the truth. Even though I'm just feeling angry in the moment, I could still remember that it's not the truth. But sometimes the remembering it's not the truth and that like gut knowing can be disconnected for me sometimes now, although there's less downtime or there's less of a gap.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you have just that underlying knowing is just ever present at this point in time, which is
Even,
amazing.
yeah, even when I get sidetracked by something that tries to catch my attention and tether me, is when I get sidetracked like that, then I just sit there and go, you know, I don't need to be playing these loops. That these are ridiculous. And then it brings me back into the state of being source. And and that's kind of what I do in my meditation. In my meditation, I just have my name for source, and if I catch myself thinking or believing or identifying my way of, or my presence in this construct, what I do is I just say my name for source.
So, like, walk me through, you say your name. So, like, is there a mantra or something that you say? Well, like, how does that go?
No, it's kind of different. What I realized is that meditation isn't about being silent. Meditation is about paying attention to what I'm thinking about.
Okay.
And that thoughts automatically come when we meditate. And so this is it's like when I understood that misunderstanding, it was like, oh, okay. So then I just have my name for source, which is, for me, it's I am. Because it's I am. When I had one of my teachers years ago, he said, when you realize God is I am, when you realize that, you've got it. And so I thought there, and I go, okay, my name is I am, because when I realize God is I am. And so that's the name that I use. And so when I start, so if I'm working with someone as a physical therapist and I'm on the table and I start thinking about my kids and how my kids doing, but I'm not with the person on the table, I say my word I am, because I'm thinking about my kids. That's taking me away from being present with the person I'm with. Or if I'm at the grocery store and I'm buying bread, I I am buying bread until someone comes up and starts talking to me, and then I'm talking to this person, and so then if I start thinking about still buying bread, and I'm talking to this person, then I say my word I am, and that brings me into the present, speaking to them. So whatever's trying to distract me from the present moment is I just say whatever the word is right, for me, for source, and then that brings me back into my source presence in the present moment. And then that's the same thing that I do when I'm up at 1:30 in the morning. Is I'll just sit and I'll just say my word, and then whenever any thought comes in, except for my intent to be present in the moment, is then I'll say my word, and then I'll go into this state of self-forgetfulness, which is this incredible state of grace that holds me in this state of bliss.
Self-forgetfulness. So the forgetfulness, you mean forgetting the identity of David
Correct.
and just going into that I am.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a question now. So when I was in that bliss state, at one point I was in the supermarket and it like really washed over me. I was in a market that I used to be so depressed. It was like so gross and everybody in there was gross, right? Like dirty people, people that I never wanted to associate with. And I was sitting in line and I'm in this state and I have this knowing that oh my God, I'm connected to everybody. And it felt amazing. People that I would have never, if you would have told me like 3 days before that I would want to be connected to these people, I would have said you're crazy. But it felt amazing. And for a moment, I could see like a web of electricity. So I'm curious, do you see things like that, feel things like that? How often are you able to see certain things that, let's say, you weren't seeing before, like that, how I could see that sort of I don't even know how to describe it, but it looked like a web of electricity. And then I could feel it's like I could feel every person in the market, even though I couldn't even see them with my physical eyes. I could feel them and me and them. It was like such an amazing experience. And I've had meditations too, where I could now since then of like a knowing, like I can sense every individual cell in my body. I don't know, and it sounds crazy, but I know that I could do it. And I get flashes of this, but again, for me, it comes and goes. So I'm curious, how often do you experience things like that? How much control do you have over those things?
Yeah, what I've realized again, another realization, and this has been in the last year, is that when I see source in all that I see, it awakens source in all that I see. And so what happens is that I lose the concept of the personality of David. I realize that source is operating through the personality of David, but in this is that I become source, and then that awakens the source and everything around me, and then I see it all as a part of myself. And so, like at work, when I'm working with clients, or when I'm working with with my peers, is that they're all a part of me and they're all showing a part of me, or, my relationship with my wife or my kids or my grandchild, it's just, they're all a part of me. And so then this incredible unconditional love, which again is the source of this bliss and ecstasy that I'm always in, and holds everyone in that field, and it raises everything in that field to source. It's all source. It's not separate. You call it all God or whatever word is right for you. I don't think source really cares what you call it. It is as long as you call it. um, and but everything becomes so much more simple. The complexities. It's like people's issues kind of fall away, and and everyone rises up to that frequency, that unconditional love.
Yeah, that is interesting. I do notice. I actually had an experience yesterday. I was sitting in my gallery and I woke up kind of in a bad mood and I sat down here and I just decided I'm going to be like, it's a beautiful day. Why would I be in a bad mood? And so everyone that walked by my door, I wrote something nice. Like, wow, this person has a great outfit on, or this person's really beautiful, or look at these fancy cars. Look at me, I'm in a fancy neighborhood. How great is that? And all of a sudden, I've never seen because I'm like sort of tucked away in a little alley. I'm by the beach, and there's like I'm in a little beach alley with a parking lot. And so it's not always that many people, but all of a sudden, so many people. And then all of a sudden, people started to come into my gallery, and everyone, so many people, and the nicest people, the best dressed people I've ever seen, the most complimentary, kind. And even people that had walked by and not looked at my gallery the first time, when they came back, let's say to their car, they couldn't stop looking in or they came in. And it's like I decided, and it felt so good to give, to just feel good, to be like, you know what? Yeah, this person, look at how cute their shorts are. Oh my God, I love that color. Like just to give love and not even to like try to get them. I wasn't trying to get people to come in. I was just, trying to elevate myself. And in that elevation, it's like I attracted so much and I could have easily focused on, I'm sure there were people being annoying or whatever, but they didn't come into my awareness.
Yep.
And it was actually like an amazing day. I was like really blissed out by the end of the day. And what's really funny is when I woke up this morning, I woke up in this amazing state of peace. And then you know what I did? I looked for something I got online and I looked for like people fighting and comment or like something to be annoying. And then I could feel myself get annoyed. And then I laughed at myself because I was like, what did you just do? You
Yep.
woke up in peace and then you went, ooh, I wonder if there's any comments under that annoying video I saw the other day. Like maybe people are on my side or something, right? And I was like, what are you doing? You're ruining your peace. And it was funny because now I'm catching myself more and more. But it's interesting how if you decide I'm going to focus in that love state, then that God state, people will come to join you. And the others maybe won't find you, or maybe they'll rise up.
Yep.
But it won't even yesterday was like probably the most dramatic experience that I've had like that where I deliberately on purpose I wrote so much. I'd have like a pen and paper journal. I filled up so many pages. By the end of the day, my hand, I was like, but it was like so much fun. I just kept wanting, once I got going, I just wanted to keep it up, keep it up. And like, this is so much fun. Really, this person is amazing. This person is, look at that one. I could find something I liked about every single one. And so I know what you're saying, and it's really just a matter of keeping it up. It's really up to you.
Yep. And that's why I say is that, I meditate 24 hours a day
Yeah.
because I'm constantly being aware of if I'm thinking something different than what I'm doing or what I'm present with, then I just say my word. And then it brings me right back here. And I do think that that's a piece of what this state is that I'm just constantly in.
When you say my word, that's I am for
Yep.
you? Okay. Yeah. And okay, so I have a couple more questions. The healing, sorry, I wrote some things down so I don't forget. So okay, so I have also had like I had a slip disc. One of the first things that happened to me that sort of just wake me up, I had a slip disc in my back for like 20 years, and I just thought I was told I would have to have surgery and whatever. And I just kind of accepted that that was true. And then through a series of random events, ended up at a healer. And that was not something I believed in, but I got so desperate. I went for something with my skin. Something was on my face that I was like mortified. And in my vanity, after trying every dermatologist and cream or whatever, my friend kept telling me about this healer guy, and I was like, okay, whatever. And then, but I had tried everything else, so I was like, fine. And I went to see this guy for like acne, like adult acne, and he looked at me and he was like, oh, this is the message your back wants to tell you. And I remembered like not really knowing what to do, but what he said was it resonated. And then I went home, I slept for like 3 days. I dreamt about white light. And on the third day, I woke up and my back didn't hurt. And it was like you could visibly, it had a visible bulging disc, the hips were misaligned. Like when I touched my back, I was like, oh my God, like everything was in alignment. And so I've never been the same since. And now I believe that can happen, anything can happen. Every orthopedic doctor told me, like, sorry, but you're gonna have to have surgery in a few years, right? And like then this guy was like, this is the message. So ever since then, that really opened me up, and then all these other things started to happen. And then now I'm trying to on purpose, like a lot of things have happened where I will wake up and there's something. Sometimes I'll be able to get the message. I don't really need to go see a healer or anything anymore. I can ask my body what it wants. But there's other things that there's some things happen and it happens pretty naturally. And other times I'm like, I really want something to happen and it's not happening. Maybe I have too much resistance, but I'm curious because, like, so you're having all this amazing health, aging in reverse, amazing, amazing. Everybody wants that. And are you doing anything on purpose? Do you have any tips? Like, there's so many things that I want to be able to sort out in my physical vessel that I do my best to just be patient and ask. But I'm curious what your experiences are with like the physical healing. What is it like? Is it on purpose? Do you have a sense of what's going on and why? Did what information do you have about that, or what's your experience with what's going on with you where your body's clearly healing?
You know, that it is big, and it would take probably a whole nother hour to talk about it.
Mm.
But briefly, because it's a field that I work in, I am constantly being aware of anything that comes up for me that is ready to be looked at and either reframed into another timeline or into another choice. Like, different things come up that I can make another choice in my life that will no longer create the energy flow of, let's say, lack of abundance or something like that.
Mhm.
Is that I can sit there and I go, I don't think I want to create um, lack anymore because it's really not true for me anymore. And so, what is it that I want to create? I mean, making it simple, but then going into the different belief systems that I may have accumulated during this lifetime or other lifetimes, and then making different choices. And it may take a month to do it, or I might go through a really dark time, which I've done, in just really going into a deep dive of saying, okay, why is it that I am constantly repeating this in my life? And so, and then as I do that on a consistent basis, I'm constantly aware of anything that comes up, just like it did for you, is constantly aware of that. And the joy is, this is what I do for work as well. Is I work with people that have been through satanic ritual abuse, or or really bad things happening when they were young in their lives, or and so I work with people in reframing, because they come to me with their physical ailments as a physical therapist. They come to me for that, and then what happens is that it usually is on a spiritual, mental, or emotional level, and then manifests on a physical level. And so then I work with people, and I work with myself, because I can do that. I've been trained on how to do that, and so that's one piece of it. And then the other piece of it is just simply in being in this state of unconditional love. My body, you know, has changed. I mean, it's like you said, and I'll have to go back and look at those interviews to see what I look like then. But I know for myself that I'm doing things in the past month that I have not been able to do for 20 years, and and I'm getting results back from the tests that a year ago said that I would never be able to breathe more than out of my right lung, and they said that's never going to happen, and it's happening. And so these are the things that are happening for me now, that I sit there and go, wow, I didn't, I knew how to work with my phrenic nerve, and I've been doing that work, but I mean, this is really kind of a miracle. And it's really happening in my life, and I can, and I feel the vitality, I feel the life, and and I would think that only getting an hour or two sleep a night, I should be tired, and but I'm not. There's something new, that's happening with me. There's a vitality that I haven't experienced for years, and just playing with my granddaughter this last weekend, to get down on the floor and just play with her and just have fun with her, that a year ago that would have been more than I could tolerate. I wouldn't be able to do it. So yeah, the vitality is just huge. So, but so it's a big, I've got so many miracles happening in and around me in my life, but truly my physical body being a huge miracle.
Amazing. I mean, I'm so enjoying talking to you. I feel like I like when you said too, like looking at what needs a reframe. There's such a level of acceptance. I can feel it from you. Like, I think so much of it has to do with this acceptance. So I'm curious, this is something I've been playing around with lately too, is acceptance. Like I notice now when like whatever ruminating thoughts might come, I just go, oh yeah, that's what I'm believing right now. That's what I'm choosing. I love it. And I say, I love and accept myself. And it's amazing if you don't argue with it or if you just accept it, it just kind of like, oh, it just goes like poof. And it just like, it's just the arguing with it or the not accepting it that keeps it around. And so I can feel this overwhelming just acceptance from you. And I'm curious because I think you said talking about like the loving yourself and accepting. I think this is something a lot of people have a hard time with. Do
Mm.
you have any? I mean, I know you had this incredibly profound experience, but I wonder if you have any insights for people who maybe that are struggling with this and how maybe to let go of some of those stories without maybe having to have to die first and come back. Do you
Exactly.
have any? I mean, that's one way to do it, and it clearly worked out for you. But
I mean, what I would share. Let's see. Um, it is in being aware of what we're thinking. I mean, it's that simple. When I started paying attention to what it is that I was thinking and realizing that what I was thinking is what I was creating. And it wasn't necessarily what I was overtly thinking, it was my self-talk. So there's a center in our brain that we are talking to ourselves all the time. And this started again last year for me. So this is a big part of what we're talking about as far as my reframing, so to speak, my health is that when I started paying attention to my self-talk and everything that I was telling myself about myself that I wasn't paying attention to before, and just I started paying attention to it and just saying, I'm not gonna. You're right. I'm not gonna fight against it. Is um, but I'm going to love it unconditionally. And then in that loving it unconditionally, that full acceptance, no judgment, is that it lost its power. and and it returned to love. I mean, it just returned to love. So all the programming that I was brought up with as a child, not being good enough and not being worthy of love and da 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 da, all the different things that haunt us our entire lives. It's just realizing it's one, paying attention to it, because I was taught not to pay attention to it. And so one is paying attention to it, and then the other part is just loving every single thought that comes up, and being in full acceptance, non-judgment, which what which is we are all capable of being that with ourselves. And then it goes from being that with ourselves to being that with everyone, because we begin to realize that we are everything. We are connected to everyone. And so if I start having negative self-talk about my wife or my kids or my employer or whatever, is that's my negative self-talk. It's projecting negativity on that, but they're a much a part of me. And so then I start doing exactly what you did, is you start paying attention, doing positive things toward other people. And then that's when I realized what I said initially, is that to truly, because my goal 30 years ago was to get off this planet as soon as possible. My goal now, having realized everything that I realize, is to fully be source within the personality of David on this planet, to be unconditional love in everything that I think, say, and do. And in being fully present here, I then truly become source by acting as a source of unconditional love to everyone I come in contact with. And that's the simplicity of it. It's not hard. It does take due diligence and an awareness that we're not taught to have, except for through meditation. And it just constantly working at
That was amazing. You should give a TED Talk.
that.
Everything you said, I'm like, oh yes, it's it's really not as hard as we think it is. It's really so simple. And it really is the awareness and just being okay with it's okay if you're thinking, oh, I'm so pissed.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm pissed.
yeah,
And then as soon as you don't make it a problem, or this person, whatever you're thinking, okay, I see that I did that. And, and just letting go. It's that I think if we're not taught, like we're not taught to have the awareness. And so what happens is you sort of have a few thoughts and then you spin out. And before you know it, you don't know how you got there. And now everything is crashing down around you. But if you can have that awareness early on and just switch direction, it really is. This I feel like I could talk to you all day. I want to respect your time. And so, I think it's probably a good time to start wrapping up. But I Gosh, I knew I was so excited that I got a chance to talk to you face to face or computer to computer. And I could just hear it in your voice. Like there was such, like there's a tone or a quality even coming through, just even when I heard your voice come through on Darius's webinar. And I feel like I know that people watching this will get that same feeling and the end, because I feel like we speak words, but it's not the words, right? It's the intention, it's the vibration, the feeling that comes through. And I feel like there's so much coming through now. And I just feel like we're on the precipice as like a society where people really, there's a choice in every moment. And the more you choose that peace for yourself, the more you'll end up, like when you said you said something about like just choosing a different timeline or like
right.
reframing it and moving yourself into a different timeline. Like I really think that's all it is just like sort of little by little moving yourself in there. I guess sometimes I look for that, like, I just want to wake up tomorrow and everything is
Yeah.
done.
I mean, in my practice, when I've had people come, I had one person in particular come in a wheelchair,
Mm.
and wheelchair for 10 years. I was there to get them stronger. That was all. But I saw that there was a somato-emotional, spiritual choice that they had made when they were young. And so I just led them through the reframing of it. They walked out
Oh my
without
gosh.
any strengthening or anything. And so when you experience things like that, you sit there and go, this shit is real, is that all it took was reframing. And so something that had happened to her years ago just got reframed, and she walked out of there and she never looked back. I mean, I saw her a couple more times just to help her get through the the shock of walking without walking for that long. But yeah, I mean, this stuff is so real. I've seen tumors go away. I've seen rashes go away. I've seen all sorts of things go away just because of the awareness, that self-awareness, and the incredible creators that we are in being able to make a different choice.
I love that. I think what you said too, it's like the shock of it. I think that you have to be willing to accept that can happen. And if it happens to you, it's okay to accept it and let it continue. Because I think it's like we are forming and reforming our reality, our bodies included. And so, can you accept? It's funny, I recently had the last video I made, I had a mole on my finger. It appeared. I knew because you know your hands. A dark mole appeared one day. I thought it was chocolate. So I took a picture because it didn't wash off. So I took a picture so I could zoom in because I was like, I don't have a mole there. And but when I zoomed in, I could see it was a mole. And I was like, okay. And I don't really worry about too much medical stuff because after what happened to me, I'm like, well, I'm fine, right? And so I didn't worry about it. And but I thought it was weird and I let go and I kind of, I'm like, oh, I shifted timelines or something. It must be fun, right? Then 3 weeks later, I wake up one day and it's just gone. And I was so excited because I had the picture. I was like, oh my God, I took a picture. And so I found it like in my deleted items. And what came through for me, like that was something I didn't have a resistance. I didn't have a story about moles or whatever. So I didn't have a problem with it coming or going. And I thought, like, I do some automatic writing and things. What came through to me is like, you're sort of getting yourself used to the surprise, like you want maybe bigger physical changes, but could you wake up and look in the mirror and something is so different? Could you accept it? So, like, if you have little things that you can start to accept. So, I think that's interesting what you say. Like, something like if you're told you can't walk, like that's a big mental thing to get through, but you can essentially sort of tell your cells or whatever, your cells will do what you want, they'll reform. And so that's a really good point, is really just letting yourself experience the change, accept it. So I'm curious, I want you to, like, do you want to like to give your business name? Is that something you want to share, or you don't have to if you don't want to?
Um, right. I didn't even think about that.
I mean, if people want to, like, that's fine if it's just like a small local.
If they,
I didn't
if
mean to put you on the spot.
I work at a physical therapy clinic in La Grande, Oregon that's called Mountain Valley Therapy. And
Mhm.
you can look me up on the website there. And if you're interested, I do work in the clinic, but I also do distance work when I've got time to do that. And if people are interested, but that's completely independent of what this is all about.
Well,
Uh,
I'm sure that people might want to,
yeah, I mean,
connect if that's what you're interested in. If not, that's okay too.
yeah. But it is my passion. It's my joy. I've been doing it for 42 years, and I love I mean, as you can imagine, I mean, I work with infants that have had difficult childbirthing processes that are failure to thrive, and I'm just unconditional love with these infants, and they respond to that unconditional love, and 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 I get to watch these miracles, that have been brought into this construct, that have volunteered to come here and participate in this construct, and watch these miracles thrive when they are expected to die. So it's that type of joy that I have in this work, and in being alive in this construct.
Amazing. I love it. This has been an amazing conversation. I really feel just so good and so reminded of all the things that, right, that we already know that we forget.
Yeah, and the big thing is that, at least for me, it's not about getting out of this construct. It's
Mm.
about being fully present in this construct.
Yeah, yeah. That's a big point. I really think I notice like in the Darius community, I really do think there's a feeling of people wanting to get away from their life. And I used to feel like that. I used to be really depressed. And little by little, as I had, like, especially after that Kundalini thing, that was before OBE, but that really helped bring me into, wow, like there's so much to love. And that shifted something for me. And so I think that it's a really important reminder. It's great, any of these experiences that help you realize that this is a place that we chose to be and to make it into the most fun, amazing, beautiful experience, not to get away from it, to get closer to. So whatever OBE, whatever you're doing, it's to make this better, not to leave it,
Yeah.
right?
You know, a simple thing of this is last Friday, or a week ago Friday, my wife and I went to a concert of a group of people that came into this community, which is a small little community of 11,000 people, but they came in here to give a choir concert. And they were just such beautiful people. You know, it's not that their voices were great, but they were such beautiful people. And so I just went into this deep state of just this of unconditional love, and it just, you know, just really focused on unconditional love. And the audience, you know, which was, you know, a couple, maybe 150 people from the community that came to listen to this group, the audience just erupted with this love, you know, with the, and the singers started singing louder, and they started having more confidence. And the conductor got up there and said, we have never performed to this level before. We have never felt this much love from an audience before. And I just sat there and watched the whole thing. And I'm not saying that I was the cause of it, but what I'm saying is that when we hold this space of unconditional love for everyone around us to participate in, it awakens source in everything that we see.
I totally agree. I kind of think it is because of, well, so A, I think it is because of you one way or the other, in the sense that you clearly are this dominant energy. Now, not dominant in like a forceful way, dominant just meaning it's such a strong energy that people can't help but come to match it. I think that I think in any situation there is like a dominant energy. And I mean, it's clear when you see all kinds of group activities, right? There's some kind of leader or something. I don't think it's good, bad, right, or wrong. It's just someone has a more practiced vibration and other people come to match it. And then I also wonder about, like, are we having our own, like, are there like infinite timelines and infinite versions of us? And so you are having this experience, and maybe someone sitting next to you is kind of having a different experience, but your experience of them, you're seeing the facet that's having a great time, and there's still a facet that's like having a shitty time, but you're just not interacting with that facet. You know what I mean? I think about that all the time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, that's it. And it's our choice. You know, it's, we choose what we're creating.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Well, this has been amazing. I thank you so much. I'm so excited to post this. I think people are really gonna get so much out of it. And I don't know. Well, I look forward to your next talk with Darius as well, because I'm sure that's going to be really interesting.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to talk to him before Saturday when we have our last in the series of this workshops, and see if we can get together and talk about it. Because it is, I'm in a, you know, it's an interesting position where I just sit there and go, maybe this is what this is all about, and I don't need to be having the OBEs anymore, because you know this is pretty darn good.
Yeah. And you might see, like, you might have something spontaneous or whatever, but yeah.
But it let it go of it. You know, the second meeting that we had this last Saturday was great, because the people that spoke up, you know, they just said, you know, hang with whatever's happening. You know, basically, you know, don't try to push yourself, just be with whatever's happening.
The energy on the last one was amazing.
It
If
was
people are thinking about joining Darius's group,
definitely too.
there's
Yeah.
so much to get out of it. People complain about the price, but it's worth it. You're really getting so much for it. So there's so much more than you realize behind that paywall. I
And
mean, look at this blissed out conversation here. And it gets better when you're in there.
so true.
Okay, well, let's gonna end the recording. Thank you for coming on. Thank you everyone for watching. I'm gonna put links in the description, and stay tuned for the next video.